welcome to the session that many people do not like to, do, even as, let's even put business aside, even as individuals, as human beings. Studies show that a lot of people do not go in, year out, and do not have goals for themselves. And before we now even talk about businesses that can be very complicated and the likes. But yeah, it's an activity that most businesses shy away from, and it's due to a number of reasons. There are a lot of reasons why people shy away from goal setting. So some, it might be because they've set goals previously and it didn't work out. They didn't end up achieving the goal, and they just give up and say, "Oh, like that. What's the point? I'll never achieve it anyways. I never focus on my goals anyway. So what's the point, right?" But again, like I said, having a goal, knowing where you are going to is like, even if you don't get there, the mistake that most of us make is we feel like, oh, the joy is in achieving that goal. Yes, you might experience joy, but I found that most times when I hit a goal, the process is what gives me the most enjoyment, the most joy. The When I get to my goal, yes, I celebrate, I'm happy, but it's kind of fleeting. I don't know if it's just me, but I reflect a lot and I find that for me that process is what is most enjoyable. That's what gives the most benefit, because during that process you would have changed, you would have improved just to reach that result. So those are like some of the things you need to bear in mind when you are feeling discouraged about setting goals, right? So by the end of this session, you should have set goals for the next quarter at the very least. So I believe in 90 days cycle, right? So because you don't want a time frame that is too long where you feel overwhelmed, you are trying to avoid overwhelm, but you don't want a cycle that is too short as well that you feel pressured, right? That you feel like, if you don't achieve this thing, you are a failure or something. So 90 days seems like the perfect time where you have time to kind of focus on this thing, to put in your best effort, and without actually putting a lot of pressure on yourself or letting it be too far off that there was the time that you'd have used to reinvent yourself has passed. So that's like the beauty of a 90-day cycle. Right, so goal setting is the process of deciding what you want to accomplish and devising a plan to achieve your desired result. So it's not just something that fancy or bougie people do, right? Even though yes, majority of like people that are are rich and put together, at the crux of it all, they do set goals. So that should also signal to you that yes, goal setting is quite important. And even if you don't have a plan for that particular goal, so for me, when I even have just that intention that I want to do something, I might not have a detailed plan on how I want to go about it, but just having that intention and putting it at the top of my mind from time to time helps me. Somehow I just find that, oh, maybe I've gotten it done or something. So having that, setting, knowing where you want to go and having it at the top of your mind. But if you can even go further to say, okay, what's the next step? What's the next thing I can do that can propel me towards achieving that goal? That's even like the best spot you want to be in. Right. So Zig Ziglar said, if you aim at nothing, you will hit it every time. You will hit nothing every time. So if you do not have a destination, you will just be going here and there. You will keep getting lost, right? So if you aim at nothing, you will hit it every single time. And if you do not know where you are going, you will probably end up somewhere else, right? This one is different. It's different from knowing where you are going, but maybe you do not have Google Maps to tell you. Worst case scenario, you will ask somebody, and maybe after you misplace here and there, you still find where you are going. But this one, if you don't have a goal, you don't know where you are going at all. So what do you even want to ask someone to help you with? Do you understand? Who is going to direct you? Who is going to keep you accountable if you can't get there yourself? So you do need to know where you are going to be able to, get there. Without that, you are lost. So what are the ABCs of goal setting? We've spoken about vision, mission, and values. Your goals, you must know where you are going. Really, if you don't know where you are going, you can't set a goal that would, get that target. You must know where you are going. Your mission, you must have the capabilities to execute that goal. And that's another reason why goals fail, because most people they set enchanting goals. They set inspiring goals, but they don't even have the knowledge on how to get that goal. So of course you wouldn't achieve that goal, right? And it must speak to your values. Your goals must speak to and be aligned to your values. If something is not aligned to your values, chances are you wouldn't end up doing it, right? So it's like saying maybe somebody offers you are looking for a 30 million dollar, maybe not 30 million dollars, you're looking for 30 million naira deal, and someone brings it to you, but the conditions attached, are not in line with your values, fine, that would have given you 30 million dollars. But if honesty and integrity is part of your values, chances are you wouldn't, go with that particular deal, even though it gives you that goal, right? So you must align with your values. Then why do goals fail? They were not intentional. You just set your goal, maybe because someone else was setting that goal, you feel, oh, that goal is hippie, let me also set it. So maybe somebody says they want to read 3 books in 1 month. You decide to read 3 books in 1 month without actually looking at yourself and thinking about, your own peculiar situation, right? They are not smart, right? So your goals have to be specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and time bound, right? They have to be realistic. There's a weak why, and the why also goes back to that your vision. Why do you want to achieve that goal? Is it just for showing off, or is that an internal motivation for you? Goals without an internal motivation, chances are you're not going to end up achieving it. It's outside your control or capabilities. If you want to say, maybe you want to construct the largest building or whatever, and you don't have the skill set, you are just fooling yourself. You are most likely not going to achieve that goal, because once a goal is 70% out of your control, you can't achieve it. Basically, you do not know how to execute on the goal. You don't know the how to get to your goal. Your goals are conflicting with your values. Like I said previously, you don't review your goals periodically. So most of us, we set goals and we leave it till the next year. You need to review your goals periodically. Out of sight is out of mind. So you need to review it. Things might have even changed. You might have achieved that goal and it's time for you to move on to the next thing. But if you don't review it regularly, you don't know where you stand. You might be experiencing a particularly difficult season. So for example, you had a goal to maybe grow your business, and for some reason you got ill. Of course, there's some noise. Okay. So chances are, you wouldn't achieve that goal, and that was of no control. That was of no control of yours, right? And then you do not have accountability. So there are different levels of goals. So there are some goals that they're like safe goals. You can easily achieve it. You know that you need to do it, so you can easily achieve it, but you just need to have it as a goal. And there are some goals that it's like the next level. You need maybe to get maybe someone else to push you. So maybe you want to go to the gym, or you want to lose weight. So there are some that you can handle yourself, and there are some that is the next level. Maybe you need a coach to tell you what to do, and there are some that you need like a group of people to actually push you, keep reminding you why you need like very huge goals. So sometimes, in fact most times, you do need accountability to achieve your goals. Right. So what are the steps to setting your goals? You need to prioritize. You can only focus on a finite amount of things at a time. There's so many moving parts in our lives, and research has shown that you cannot focus on more than 7 to 10 goals, at a time, and that's even stretching it. Right. So you need to focus on it. You need to prioritize what is very important for your business. What's going to move the needle, the most for your business. Those are the things you should prioritize on. Then make your goals smarter. So I don't even mean smart now. So when I first came across the concept of smarter, I was like, which one is this one again? So the E and the R, so we've already spoken about, you have to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant. They even changed realistic to risky. So realistic means like, is realistic for you, yes, but you should add an extra layer that kind of motivates you to say, you're not just settling for the barest minimum, but not so risky that you just deceive yourself and put a laudable goal that you can never achieve. Then time bound, you need to set a time frame. Then it must be exciting to you or your team members. Your goals, there has to be an internal motivational aspect to it. You can't just set goals that are just for maybe, yes, it's to satisfy your customers, but it also has to be very exciting for you. Then it has to be relevant. And when I mean relevant, it needs to be relevant to the stage of your business. So there are like 5 stages of businesses, right? There are some that, they're just in the existence, they just started. So a business that you are just starting, trying to find your footing, if you are setting a goal for a company that is in a growth stage, you are setting up yourself for failure because it doesn't align to the stage that your business is in. So you need to set goals that are relevant to the stage that your business. So you need to be honest with yourself. What stage is my business in? Is it in the existence stage, or are we, have we started making some profit? Are we ready to, grow? Are we ready to acquire? So don't set goals that other people are setting or other businesses are setting because it looks nice or it's the next big thing. What is your stage of business? Set goals that are relevant to it. Then again, identify your why. Why do you want to achieve this goal? Then narrow down your focus. Work on 2 to 3 goals per time. And when I mean per time, I mean per quarter. Then track your progress. Out of sight is out of mind. And something that is written is better than something that is just in your head, swimming around. There's only so much that your brain can do. So when you write things down, it brings that clarity. That's why people preach, journal, whatever. But you don't even need to journal in like the most traditional sense. Once you have your notes and everything, you can always jot things down, but you need to write, things down. You need to write your goals and you need to put it somewhere that you can always see it. So some of us might have like a small, and that's why it's very good to have smaller goals and just little action steps. What's just the next thing that you need to do? So that it's something that you can even put on your work table or maybe your bathroom mirror or something like somewhere you can always see it, from time to time and work on them. Right, so let's set some smarter goals, right? I'm going to go through this, then we'll take the break, and maybe when we come back, we can, or maybe even as you're on break, you can start thinking about some of the goals that you want to set. So these are like the moving parts of like your small business. So you have your product, your process enablers, sales, finance, marketing, your team. So far from what you've seen so far, for some of you that maybe are pivoting, right? What are the things that you need to do next? In the next 3 months, what is that thing? Some of you, it might be a business you don't know anything about. Some of you, your next step should actually try to do research to see what's going on in this sector. Some of you, you might need to know, who is your competitor? You need to know how things work, not just jumping into buying equipment or whatever. So what is that next thing? Which aspect? And you need to set goals. It's not just monetary goals, because most times as businesses, you just hear, we want to make 200 million, we want to make 3 million this year. But there are other goals that you need to set apart from monetary goals. Some of them, it might be, I need to get so and so type of person on my team, because you know that once you get that person, it's going to propel your business forward. Right? Some of you, it might be your marketing. Maybe your marketing is crap. You need to work on your marketing, and of course, which will automatically convert to sales if it improves. Right? Some of you, is your product. Your product is nothing to write home about. You are not even clear on your product. So that might be something you want to set your goal around. Okay, what products? Do a lot of research. Ask your potential customers, what is that product? What's their pain point? Some of you, that's what you need to do, right? Not just continue churning out products that people are not buying or people are not excited about. So that might be your next step. So I want you to look at this holistically and say, okay, which part of my small business do I need to work on? Which is the most important? What would move me from point 0 to 1? Which one of them do I want to work on? Then set goals on them. So from all this, you set 7 to 10 goals. Generally, it can be for the next 1 year, set those 7 to 10 smarter goals, right? For the next 1 year or whatever it is, right? You can also revisit your previous goals if there are goals that maybe you didn't achieve or something, and you feel like you want to move it into 2022. Bring it forward, no problem. But just have 7 to like 10 goals at the max that you want to work on in the next year. And out of those 7 to 10 goals, take out 3 that that need the most attention right now. Those three that would, that if I do this thing, I'm making progress. Because it's possible to be doing so many other activities and you're not actually inching forward. So take out 3 to 5 of those 7. So you keep the remaining like 4 to 5 that is still there. Just keep it aside, and we are bringing those 3 down to quarter, to the quarter. That's what the aim is. Okay, we are making 2 to 3 in a quarter, in a 90-day cycle, because energy is finite. There's only so much that you can do. So many things revolve around 90 days. Schools run 90-day systems, right? Even a mother, first trimester, second trimester, third trimester. So there's I don't know if there's a science to it, but there's definitely something about 90-day cycle, right? It just works. Seasons change in this 90-day cycle. There's the spring, there's the autumn, so things change in 90-day cycle. So it's the time to, you can always reinvent yourself within 90-day cycle. You can always reinvent your businesses within 90-day cycle. So you want to make sure that you don't set goals that are 6 months, because that's too far off. But 90 days like a sweet spot. So you want to now bring 2 to 3 of those goals into the next quarter to say, what is this goal? How will I measure that goal? Right? Is it achievable? Don't deceive yourself. Is it achievable? Do I need to get input from someone else? Is it daring enough? Is it a goal that is exciting for me? By what time frame do I want to achieve this goal? And is it relevant to the stage of your business? Right. So look at it holistically. Don't just say, oh, I want to make money quickly or whatever. Fine, you might have monetary goals, which is good. But also look at the other things that you need to put in place for your business to move forward. Yeah. So I think we'll stop here for now. Okay, it's almost 4. Right, and if you have any questions so far, I think you can share it. Then when we come back, we can now go into the action plan. But if you have any questions so far, please share. And if have you had situations where you set goals and you didn't achieve them? How have you given up on setting goals, or do you have goals for your personal but you just don't have for your business? Which is it? Because I also find that as small business owners, you are a very huge part of your business. So that's why I said those goals have to be exciting for you as well. So your business is very part of your business, right? So it's not really separate. Yes, it's a separate entity, but you're a very key part of it. So those your goals must also do something for you. So if you want to make 30 million, why do you want to make that 30 million? Is it that it's going to make it will allow you to travel the world or give your family that trip that you guys have always wanted? What's that internal motivation for you? Because you can make 30 million, but what does it do for you? So you also have to keep those things into consideration. So are there any questions so far? Anything you want to share? Any tips so far? So we can go on a break. Okay, so within the last, I think, 20 minutes, we spoke about, goals in general, why they're important, and, why you should set goals within a 90-day framework so that it's not too overwhelming and also not too far away that you slack off. Right now, so for goals to be achieved, you need an action plan, right? So your goals literally, okay, this is where I want to go, this is the result I want to achieve. But to empower those goals, you need an action plan, right? And we said one of the reasons why people don't achieve their goals is because they don't know the how, right? And so your action steps actually tell you the what, the how to go about achieving those goals. So I think I'm going to run through this. Then we'll have about 15 minutes where you craft your own goals based on your current business. And if you don't have any business, if you're looking to, maybe you want to set up a business within the next 1 year or something, one of your goals might actually be to do some research on what kind of business can you do, what kind of businesses do you have interest in, what's trending. Because sometimes it's not just what you're passionate about. Something I heard from someone that you can run a business that you absolutely hate the product, right? So I personally do not agree with that, but it's definitely possible. You can't tell me that people that have all blocks, love the all blocks. No, but yeah. So that might be one of your goals, to actually research, to see, or it might even be, oh, what kind of, who is running a business, and what you want to partner with somebody, or you want to consult for the person or something. So yeah, that can be a goal. So now down to your action plan. So, I said just work on 2 to 3 goals per quarter. So those 2 to 3 goals, I want you to, so I shared the workbook. I know Farida would probably don't have access to the workbook, but I can always share after this. So in that workbook, it tells you like, oh, those 2 to 3 goals that you decided on, right? Put them down. Then now write your action steps. So what are those things that you're going to do to achieve those goals? So for example, maybe in my business, I know that I need to ramp up my marketing, my online presence, right? And I write, I need to post at least maybe once per day. I need to make a list of the content that I want to push out. I need to create a content calendar to say, okay, on Mondays, this is what I want to post about, or these are the topics that would interest me, or I need to do research into, what my competitor is putting out there as content to see which ones are their consumers engaging with the most. How can I leverage that to also create content for my own business? So those are some of the things that I need to do to achieve that goal of increasing my online presence, right? But you also don't want to make it too granular, because when it's too granular as well, it can be a cause for overwhelm. So you just want to know what's the next thing that I want to do. So maybe 2, 3 action steps that you want to do. Then you now want to think about what are the possible obstacles that might stop you from achieving your goal. So for many, so for example, for me now, I would say maybe an obstacle is, oh, I'm actually like, I'm not really a fan of, maybe I'm not, like, I can't be bothered about social media, or I'm introverted, I don't like expending my energy online, or I can't, once I post, I can't be staying there to engage or something. So that's a potential obstacle. And when you can, foresee an obstacle, is you're better prepared to say, okay, how can I mitigate this obstacle? But if you don't leave room to actually see how you might, what can stop you from achieving that goal, then chances are, when it comes out from, like, when it's actually happening, you might not be able to arrest it or nip it in the bud. So you need to always look out for what are the possible obstacles or contingencies that might stop me from achieving my goal. You can also say, okay, what can I do to mitigate this obstacle? So it might be this social media, this digital, I can't really be bothered about it, or I don't even have the time to do it. So maybe I need to get someone that would handle my social media presence, and that's totally fine. Again, it doesn't have to be you that will do everything, and as you expand, you should start looking at, you need to start thinking like, it's a proper business, it's not just a one-man business, right? So you might say, okay, I might need to employ somebody, and that might also bring up a question is of, I would need funds, to do this. So you need to find out what are the things that might obstruct you from getting to that goal. Then how will you mitigate those obstacles? Then when is the timeline? Don't just set goals and just leave it open. You need to say, okay, this is, and it doesn't mean that that must be the timeline that you achieve it. And if you don't achieve it at that timeline, you're a failure or something. It just gives you something to look forward to. It's like saying, oh, I want to lose weight I want to lose so and so kg within 2 months. It doesn't necessarily mean that you might lose that 10 kg in 2 months. And it might also mean that you even lose more than 10 kg in 2 months, but it just gives you a time frame, something to work with, right? So you should always have like a timeline when you want to achieve something. Then the very final step is, who will be in charge of working on this goal? Is it solely your responsibility, or is this something that someone else has to work with you hand in hand? If it's a teamwork, who is responsible for what? So when people are able to name, okay, this thing is solely on my own table, I need to take charge of it. So that this thing rests on you. Achieving this goal rests on you. If it's like a team effort, what is each person bringing to the table to get to that goal. So when you're clear on who handles, there's no story of I didn't know this, I didn't know that. You understand? You're also able to measure that effectiveness. Are you being effective around this goal, or are your team members actually working effectively around that goal? So those are the like 6 steps that you need to do when you're thinking about your action plan. So it doesn't have to be very detailed. It just has to be what's that next thing that you need to do. So from there, you build momentum and continue rapid. And action breeds action. So once you start doing something, you move on to the next. It's easier to take that same momentum into something else. And so that's why I don't want you to fret and say, oh, I'm just focusing on 2 or 3 things. Because the thing is, once you achieve it, you can always move on to something else. It doesn't mean that you have to wait for the end of that 90 days to step on something else, but it just makes it more realistic for you, and it doesn't put you under unnecessary pressure. So once you finish one, you can move on to, you can set new goals, even if it's within that same quarter. But that 90 days is enough for you to achieve something without feeling overwhelmed. And also, that's for the action steps, right? Yeah, so that's the action step. And I think now we'll just take we'll take 15 minutes where you write write like 7 goals generally that you feel like you want to, work with in the whole of 2022. Then now narrow it down to 2 to 3 goals for the next quarter. That's January to March, that that will move the needle in your business, that will give you the greatest, improvement. It will take you from 0 to 1, or even 0 to 0.5, as long as it pushes you, towards your destination. Bring out those 2 to 3. Then under those 2 to 3 goals, then you now want to apply the steps in saying, writing your action steps, listing the obstacles and how you're going to mitigate it, your timeline, and also writing who is in charge. If it's you that is in charge, write your name there, big, bold, and know that it's you that is in charge of achieving this goal. So we'll have 15 minutes to do that. And of course, in normal fashion, you share what you have, then we can move on to the very last thing that I'll be working on, which is a 1-page marketing plan. We're just going to skim through it because I know marketing is a very important part of a small business. So we'll skim through it and you can always work on that on your own. Then the very last thing would be Hanif coming to talk about the financial projections, as quickly as possible. So we are good. Does that sound good to everyone? The very last thing that we have is a 1-page marketing plan. And I put this in because I know that, most small businesses will struggle with marketing at one point. Even, there's so many businesses now, so many on like the online presence is like huge, right? So there's lots of competition around marketing, and it's something that can get overwhelming. So when I came across, there's like, okay, you can actually have a 1-page marketing plan, just like you have a BMC, that is a 1-pager, like a shorter version of like a larger business plan. It was exciting to me, especially from my own experience in like trying to market my business and all that. So this was developed by Alan Deep, and what do they call it? It's not an invention. There's nothing that we don't already know if you already have done some form of marketing, but I think it just makes it less overwhelming for business owners, and it just like the business model canvas, it just provides that 1-pager that you can see to actually say, okay, this is how I want to market my business. Again, we'll bring it down to quarterly, per quarter, what you want to do in the area of marketing. And let's remember that marketing is different from sales. So marketing is like driving awareness of your business, either inbound or outbound, just trying to get people in your pipeline, while sales is the actual conversion. Right, so they work hand in hand, but you do need to do marketing to get people. So if you look at it's like a funnel, so marketing is like the widest part, then sales, the lower people drop in, the more potential for you to close a sale with them. So he says like there are 3 different aspects. So there's the before, that's the prospect. There's during, that's where they turn to leads, and there's after, so they've already purchased from you, and then there's certain things that you need to do during that phase. So the very first one, the prospect is your target market. You need to, like we've said in the BMC, you need to really think about the pain points of your customers. So when you're thinking about your marketing, everything you are crafting, everything you're doing around that, has to be very, like, you have to hit your target. You have to think about what keeps them, awake at night. What's that thing that they will really want you to solve? And it also boils down to your product. So he said that most times you create products, then start looking for people to buy them. So it now makes us, use so many type of aggressive marketing which don't work. But the ideal would be if you know your customer's pain point, then you can now create a product that speaks to that. And once you're able to do that, it's easier for you to market it. Like you market it, it's not like it will be extremely seamless, but it will definitely better than if you had created a product and you're now trying to force it down your customers through. So you need to think about your pain point, and everything that you are trying to create has to revolve around that customer pain point. And the second thing is, what is your message? So once you know their pain point, you're in the process of creating the product, or you have created the product, right? You now start your copy. You have to learn how to do copy writing, your copy, everything that you put out there, whether it's physical marketing avenues, so maybe like what they call it, brochures or whatever, or if it's via your social media, your marketing has to speak to their pain points, right? So I think he quoted something like, people do not like to watch ads, but they stop to listen or read what interests them, and that might turn out to be an ad. Right, so that means your ads must be something that interests your customer. And how does it interest your customer? It's something that they need, or is a pain point for them. Then you now have to think about what media will you use, to reach your target market. For some businesses, the media you should be using is not digital, but because you keep hearing digital marketing, you think it is the end all and be all. For some businesses, you need to do the leg work. You need to actually go from office to office or something like that. So what medium are you going to use? Is it offline methods? Is it online methods? Some people, they still send, I think I heard recently that Google still sends like mails like inside your PO box as a form of marketing. So some people still use that. So if Google, that is like, a tech company, can still be using offline marketing, why should we be so quick to throw away offline because we feel like it's old, right? So you need to really diagnose your business and say what media is best to target. So like the car wash one, I told you for sure that text message you might likely hit me out. Doesn't mean I don't use WhatsApp, but maybe I don't check it regularly. But at least my text message, because I know that I can easily leave my WhatsApp on read, but I know my text message I read it all the time, right? So that might be the fastest way to reach out to me. So you need to really drill down and say, what media am I going to use to reach my target market? So when you now get people, they are noticing your business, they are getting aware of your business, then you now want to say, how do I now capture them? So there are different ways that you can do it. There are some, systems. So for now, like for example, when you guys signed up for this workshop, I sent you emails via MailChimp, right? It's a system where I can put my leads into. So there are so many technologies like that. There's ConvertKit, and for some people, maybe for now, in the initial stage, it's just viral paper that you have. There are some businesses like that, all those Victoria Island people. Some of them, they just have like a paper, book that they store all their contacts, right? So that's where they are storing all the people that have come across their business. At least they've indicated some type of interest in their business. So you have to think about, how do I want to store my customers? There are CRM systems that you can, once a person reaches out maybe to make inquiries or whatever, the person automatically goes into that system. So you have to think about, what systems am I going to use, right? Then you now want to think about the nurturing system. How do you want to nurture? So when we're talking about customer relationship, that goes back to your customer relationships. How do you want to nurture these people? Is it via weekly WhatsApp messages? Is it via email campaigns? Is it so there are some brands that they are not selling anything to me, but I always read their newsletters because I already know what they're. So there are some brands that I know that they will always send me news updates every day. and I will always open it because I enjoy it, right? So and they're probably the only brands I'll open for. Do you understand? So you need to say, how do I want to create values? And in nurturing your leads, you must always create value. You must always give them value in one way or the other. It doesn't necessarily always have to be about what you're selling directly. So when Hanif said for your car business, you might be saying, how can you take care of your car? It can be totally different from, not like extremely different, but you're just creating value. You must always put in value to that customer so that you are nurturing them. It's not like you just want to collect money from them immediately you get into your system. Right, so for your engineering business, it might be that when you a lead capture, maybe when you meet people, right, to nurture them immediately you get a number. So maybe after you go for a networking event or whatever, and you get that number, maybe after 1 or 2 days, you reach out to them. Hi, I met you at this, da 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 da. From there, you keep, if there's opportunity for that person, you share with the person, like that. You are providing value for the person, and you end up being top of mind. At least, most of the time, you end up being top of mind. Maybe if they have something that comes your way, they're able to remember that, oh, Abdul Gafar, this guy is the correct guy, blah 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 blah, and they want to refer stuff to you. Then what is your sales conversion strategy? So like I said, marketing is different from sales. So you might have people that received your emails or they know about your brand, but they've never ever bought anything from you. So the question is, how do you now want to convert them? So there was a time when I was running my food business, people would like and like and like and like. I'm like, why are they not? So it took me actually sending like customized offers to them. So I just one day I did like customized offers to everybody. I just messaged, all the people that like that went to a particular post, looked at all the people that applied this. So I told them, oh, if you buy between now and so date, you get 10% off, a special only for you, that kind of thing. And people actually took me up on the offer. So that's like making an effort to actually, close that sale. So it's not just by only market. There are some people that they will take all your marketing materials, but they will never ever buy anything from you. Right? Some people need an incentive. Some people maybe your offer is not just it's not something they need yet, but sometimes you need to go the extra mile to actually say, oh, do you need to call them? There's some people you don't call them because the people want to feel special, right? So you need to figure out what would be your sales conversion strategy. Then when they have bought from you, the next question, that's not the end. Most of us, once people buy from us, that's the end. No follow-up, nothing. And even if you follow up, it's just to say, how was it? Nice or not nice? We don't ask for constructive feedback, or even in the testimonials, you can just say, oh, it was nice. But give me more details, right? So you need to think about, okay, how do I deliver a world-class experience to my customer? Again, people want to feel special. There's so many businesses out there that are doing the same thing that you're doing. How do you provide that wow service to your customer? How do you provide that wow product to your customer that it kind of seals you in their mind? They know that, okay, this brand, it's like, it's wow, the packaging is, if it's packaging, wow, people are raving about your packaging. What is it? What do you know that is a strength that you can leverage on to deliver that world-class experience to your customer? Then after that, you now want to think about, how do I want to increase the lifetime value? And when I mean lifetime value, it means like how much your customer spends. So it's not just a one-time customer. You want to say, oh, how can I leverage this person to actually buy either more things per order, if it's like a product, or even if it's a service. Maybe they come to you for one thing. How can you upsell them maybe to another thing that they might need, even if it's not now? We can say, okay, instead of you waiting, I will give you, I can bundle this together for you or something. So how do you increase, the average order size, or have them come back to buy things from you, like in a different, not that they just come once and you never see them again. So you need to always think about how you can increase customer lifetime value, and companies do that in terms of like, oh, loyalty, maybe loyalty cards. If you continue buying something at the end of so and so period, or when you get a particular point, you can get something for free or half point or something like that. Right, so you want to think about that. Recently during Black Friday, Apple never does sales, but this time around they said, oh, if you buy something, we'll give you a $50 or $100 gift card that you can use in subsequent purchase. They didn't say in that same Black Friday sale. subsequent one because they want you to come back and buy something. And perhaps if you see that you have $100 or $50 with them, you always want to come back. And they know that they don't have any product that on a normal day maybe is less than $50. So probably you have to add money or something to that $50 to buy something from them. So companies are also now trying to see, oh, how can they get people to buy more or spend more per purchase? And the last thing is you want to say, how can I orchestrate and stimulate referrals? So most of us, we just automatically wait for referral. We don't actively push like our customers to refer our businesses, right? So there are various ways you can do that. So those are some of the things you also have to think about. Maybe if you refer somebody, you get so and so off your own order, or maybe you get something for free, as long as you know that it's something that that customer would benefit from your business, right? So people do that. So I think for what they call this alt school, they are doing a campaign where the more people you get to get their form to register for their alt school, they put people like, oh, you win a 1 million naira prize and a trip to Seychelles or something, all expense paid trip to Seychelles or something. So they actually now put it on their website. So they are ranked there from the first to the 10th person. So people are actively referring so that they can get this thing. But if you just leave it and say, oh, we have a free school, but you have to pay 10K, chances are, oh, they will actually get people to register. But I'm sure with that campaign, they have gotten way more people, because who doesn't want 1 million naira and a trip to Seychelles? Do you understand? So you need to orchestrate and stimulate referrals from your client. It might be in terms of, oh, if you refer somebody, you get some thoughts or something like that. You get some, I'm not talking about kickback, but you just have to think around it and say, how can I stimulate referrals for my business? So that's basically, so the idea is, if you have all that, you literally already have a marketing plan, and of course you can review per quarter, but with everything, consistency is very key. So marketing is not something that you just do for maybe 1 month, 2 months, and after that you give up. No, it's like a lifetime thing. So you need to keep reiterating what's working, what's not working, and keep changing. And but the thing is, you have to be consistent with whatever it is that you decide to do. So yeah, that's the very end of my part. Do we have any questions so far? Do you have any final questions? Hanif, what are your thoughts on this? If we don't have, since we don't have like what to work with, what do you think?
All right. Thanks, Akinan. I think what I would like to say is, so two things. So the first is that, I mean, I know Abdul Gafar would have seen the template, and Abdurafi. So if there are any questions in terms of how to, if you wanted to leverage the existing template, for example, if there are any questions or comments on that, then we can maybe address that specifically if we don't already have like some if we don't have information that will be useful, because it was supposed to be very practical and hands-on, which was why
Yeah.
we sent it in advance, right? But if there are any comments or questions, if there's anything particular that even despite not having the information you want us to touch on, then I mean, if there are any, then we can take that on, right? Otherwise, I think we might just skip that. Then the
Yeah.
second point was in terms of helping you support. So one of the key things that we're also very aware of that a number of businesses are facing is, having the right tools to manage your information. And obviously it also makes you more bankable, because if you are trying to raise finance or, get investors, or even just for your own sanity, you need to have records to be able to show that, okay, we've actually done XYZ over the last period, or this is how much we are doing, just to be able to make better decisions and drive the business forward. So we're also developing some tools that will be useful to businesses. And we actually have one that is already in testing. So it's called Asta, and it's so for now it's going to be like a sales management tool, but over time it's going to even morph into something that does more than sales. But for now, the MVP, the minimum viable product, deals with helping businesses, service businesses for starters, issue invoices, manage collections, manage client data, your products, your services, and also projects. So we have that in testing mode. So I mean, if that sounds like music to your ears, Abdulgafar, we'll be happy to have you also test out that product as early as Monday. And then you can also use that to start issuing invoices to your clients and also managing that relationship, collections, and other related matters. So I think that was the other thing I wanted to point out, right? So,
All
yeah.
right. Thank you, Hanif. Thank you, sir. Abdulgafar has a question.
I should. Yep, but
Uh,
you sound faint as well. Is he hands free?
Let me know.
Yep,
yeah.
loud and clear.
Yes. So I think we can try the because okay. So let me give you lately even costing okay, billing has been a challenge for me because in our industry there is no standard there's no standard. Okay, well, the standard billing that we have that we are supposed to be using, most clients don't pay those standard billing. So most people just come up with, okay, I believe this is what I should charge for this. This is what I should charge for this. So it has been an headache for me to come up with a, a proper billing for the jobs I do. So
So that's like pricing your
I think
service, basically, right? Like pricing your service.
exactly. So pricing,
Okay.
yeah, pricing, exactly. That's the word. So I believe I think that should probably be something I can try on with your products if it's something that can help in that line.
Okay. So just to respond to that, so I think for that idea of pricing, right? That's something that you might need to the product is not necessarily going to solve that, because from what the product helps you do is how to bill your client. So once you've said, okay, this is the price I'm going to charge based on your contract or whatever, you can then say, okay, I'm sending you invoice for X for the service or for a part of the service. But what I think you need more is how to determine your pricing. And for that, there are different pricing methodologies or approaches that you need to leverage. So one might be, for example, like standard pricing. So for example, if you are doing the project, maybe it's X% of the value of the contract. That might be one way. Another might be that you have like a fixed pricing regime whereby you say for design plan or for this kind of work, we're going to charge 10 million or 1 million naira. Another might be that you're saying, for example, you're going to charge on a per hour basis. So you have your hourly rate, and then based on how long you spend on the project, you charge that. So you as the business guy, you need to decide on what pricing mechanics, and there are different things that will influence it. So for example, you are just starting out, so you probably don't have as much power, bargaining power, as the provider, and maybe you're dealing with big companies like Julius Berger and Co. So they might influence that. So again, so for that reason, it might be that you're aligning with what is the average pricing in the market. But if your service is also very specialized and you're actually, commanding a you have like market power to say, okay, this is my price, and if you can't do it, you can get somebody else to do it. Then you can also state that, and you can also be flexible. So for us, for example, on the advisory side, we also do like services, and there is no standard. I can come and say I'm doing my financial advisory at X%, and then there might be somebody else that can do it cheaper. But I know the quality I'm bringing and some of the value props that I'm bringing, so I can tell you we're not going below this, and then you have a decision to make. So I think ultimately, as a business person, you want to have your own stand, even though industry doesn't have standard. Internally on your own, you need to decide that these are the services we offer. These are the standard prices. It doesn't mean that you can't go above or below but as a business, you have to determine what's your standard, right? So I think we can have that separate conversation as to how you can arrive at that standard and what are the other pricing techniques you can leverage, right? But that's not something a tool will solve for you. That's something like internally as a business you need to decide on.
Okay. So thank you for that. I get your insights, and so some of these pricing methodologies you mentioned as something that I've tried to use over time.
Okay.
Like you said, some clients are willing to, and some clients will pass that they have rather go and get somebody else that can do it. So it's now
Yeah.
your decision to say, okay, do you want to charge any lesser than what you have charged, or you still want to stay on what you have quoted for the job?
Correct.
So I just mentioned that just to I don't know, probably just to have okay, maybe just to throw the discussion open. So yeah,
Okay.
I get your insight, and uh, we'll look into it. So I was actually thinking of developing something that I believe can be a template for me, that's
Okay.
regardless of the job, just puts in the figures. There's already a rate for the services you're doing, and
Okay.
just gives you the total rate, and you don't have to sit down and crack your brain over this is what you think is fine and this is what you think. You just have that standard rate, and probably categorize it based on your clients or the
Yeah.
the grade of your clients. So there you can now look at it.
Exactly. So yeah, definitely. And I think with the tool that we've developed as well, it gives you the room to actually add the different products and services, and then you can have the prices for each of them. So for prices, you can have various prices and categories. So for example, like you mentioned, maybe for a kind of service, commercial building, for this kind of service, there's a price. If it's residential, there's a price. And then when you're billing, it's just about then choosing which one is relevant for this. And if at the point of billing, the price you agree is even different, then you can then override and say, okay, for this project, this is the amount. And then you can easily invoice. The record is there. You have a dashboard, and then it's easier to then keep tabs and then drive the business going
Yeah,
forward.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Cool.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Yeah, you're welcome. So Abib, we can schedule a demo with maybe Abdul on Monday. So at least we'll show you how the tool works, and then you can also consider using that for your client. So that's takes out a bit of those
All right,
headache.
that's fine.
Okay. All right.
All right, Anif, that's fine.
Okay, so
All right.
I'm also sorry. I'll try to sit down and put in some figures in this financial template, just probably for from January to December this year, just to see
Okay.
how it goes. And I will probably set up another private call
Okay.
to talk about it.
All right. That's fine. That works.
Yeah, that sounds good. Something I also wanted to mention was, I mean, in the form, like if I guess a couple of people also had this issue of pricing. So maybe it's something that we want to have a discussion around as well.
Okay.
But I would say that, you can't just have a fixed price like that. So you also need to consider what's your financial goal for your business, right? So some of those things that might also influence how you price as well. But the crux of it all, I think, is just knowing what you can offer, and it's not by force for people to patronize you, but of course you need to balance that. There's some clients that you have to say, okay, let me just take this for the house. Do you understand? But you can't just have, like, anyhow prestige. You just feel like, oh, once I just add 10% to this, is that's fine. So sometimes you also need to work with, okay, what's your goal, and how can you price? How much are you spending? How much resources are you spending in, delivering that? Yes. So yeah, so those are some of the things, but hopefully maybe we would have like a discussion around this as well, maybe another webinar or something, just to try and break it down for a couple of people. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. So I think I think we are set to wrap up. But before we go, I just want to get feedback from Abdurafi and Abdul Ghaffar on how the session has been so far. Abdurafi, can you just share with
Can
us?
I?
Yes, please. Just give us your constructive feedback on how the session has been, how it has helped you, and your takeaways and your feedback.
Okay, so for me, it has been a Saturday well spent, um, and
We can't hear you anymore, Abdul.
yes, I think my connection had issues. So
Okay.
for me, it has been a Saturday well spent, and I've really learned a lot from this workshop, and it makes me feel that going into 2022, all things being equal and working very hard to achieve some of the set out goals going into 2022, would have an even more financially stable 2022 compared to 2021.
And what would you say maybe was your biggest takeaway? So,
Okay, so first and foremost is so from the business modeling canvas, I really learned a lot. Also um, the okay, so I wasn't really the first session. I was here and there for the business modeling model canvas. I was 100% attentive in that. So maybe after when I get the recording of this session, I can go over the earlier sessions, and then give a feedback on that.
okay. Thank you very much. So we'll also share like a feedback from after this with you. Nothing to elaborate, just to get insights on how we did on the training, and how we can also improve internally. Right. So thank you very much for staying and sticking with us. It's not easy to stick for like a 7-hour training, but we are happy that it has been most useful um, for you. Abdurafi, Abdurafi, you can go now. Hi, Mr. We are wrapping up. So before you dropped off again, we were supposed to do the financial projections aspect around 5, but most of the people hadn't done like the pre-work. So we decided that, they can just, if there was any question around the financial projections, but I don't know if you've done anything around it, or if you have any questions around the financial projections that you want us to answer. But we're just wrapping up now. Can you hear me, Mistura?
Hello. Can you, oh, good.
I can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Sorry, I ran out of data. I have to get new data.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry I dropped off again.
Oh, no problem. No problem. So were you able to do anything around the financial projection template?
I think that's the one that was sent initially, right?
Yes, yes.
That was, yes. My problem with working with it was because for this year we have a lot of transactions already. So
Yeah.
it was difficult for me to like download everything and input it one by one.
Okay. Okay. So yes, I think maybe what would have helped was, just having, and correct me if I'm wrong, Hanif, is, having that whole, maybe this was your total sales and putting it in there. But I mean, you also need that granular information to actually see some working parts. But what would have been the best way to work around that, Hanif?
So I think for that, right, if you had like a lot of transactions and you've been keeping the record, then it should be easy for you to copy and paste, right? If you've been keeping like digital record, if you've been writing it down, maybe in a booklet or in a log, then it might be very difficult. And then maybe summarizing it on a monthly basis. So instead of you having 1,000 lines and you're just having 10 lines for month, 1 month, 2. But that will also limit your understanding of, okay, which product or which services are moving the most. Because the whole idea of having a system where all your transactions are recorded in a very clear and marked out manner is when you're analyzing it, you're able to then see things like, oh, this service is generating more, or we're doing more here. And then if you need to maybe shut down certain lines or do better in certain lines, you have that level of granularity and insights to do it. So if you already had your record, so one way would have been, if it's digital, then copy and paste easily in seconds, you'll be done. And then if it's manual, then maybe you would have done aggregates on a monthly basis and say, okay, for January it was X, and then you know that, okay, these were the products, and then February was Y. But ultimately those information are important to guide your decision and planning, right? So that was why we wanted you to sort of have that as a first hand. So I hope that provides some clarity.
So
Yes, you have.
yeah, so Sarah, what do you currently use for like is it like an app, or which provider do you currently use for what do you call it, like recording? What do you say?
I have one app that I use.
Which app is
It's called Bookkeeper.
Okay.
Bookkeeper? Okay, and from the bookkeeper, can you see like, like there's a dashboard to see, which one is, which products are moving, or blah blah blah. There's stuff like that, right?
Yes, it's the way I can see the one that's moving. They're like top, have top customers, top products, the ones that are not moving too fast, they are down below. So the way I can actually see it.
Okay. Okay. Okay, cool stuff. So,
Oh,
I mean,
my question about, sorry?
no, I'm listening.
I don't know if this question has been asked previously, but my question about financial projections is, how do you even project? Okay, you might have a goal that, okay, I want to make 50% more sales or something, but how do you project to know, okay, this is what I'm going to make? If it has already been asked, I can always catch the replay.
Oh, no, not at all.
No, it hasn't. So let me try to answer that for you. So, the whole idea of projecting is to try to plan on one hand, and then to also try to drive performance. So if I know that I'm just starting out, for example, then realistically, I might want to say, okay, what, so like all the exercise we've done earlier was to sort of say, okay, why are we in existence? What do we want to try to achieve? And then let's say you have like quarterly or annual goals. So once you have that, the next thing is, how am I going to achieve that goal? So for you now, I think you said you were into like fashion sort of products. And then you can then say how
Like
many, say that again, Sakina?
hair products and
Care products, exactly. So like care products. So once you know that, okay, well, I'm starting out from scratch and I'm into care products. So your first thing might be, for my first month or first quarter or first year, how much sales do I want to do, either by in terms of units of the product, or if it's a service, if it's a service-based business, how many projects or contracts do I want to get in this year? And then you can then cascade that. And from your business model, for you to be able to maybe sell 1 unit of your product, you already know that, okay, these are the activities that are required, these are the resources that are required, and then you can then try to start projecting that, okay, based on where we are today, we're able to do X, Y, Z realistically. So that's just planning. And then once you start, you're able to then go back, iterate. But with an existing business, right, you have the benefit of hindsight to say that, okay, over the last 12 months, I've been able to sell X number of care products. And then you also have the ability to then see which periods are moving, because there are some businesses that are seasonal, right, where there are particular periods where you are selling more. And then you can also leverage that insight, that information based on hindsight to then say, okay, this is how we expect to do. And then in order to drive performance, you might also have a goal to say, okay, we want to do minimum of 50% growth over last year's performance. And then you can now start looking at things like, okay, what resources did we need to be able to sell X amounts over last year? And then if you are trying to do times 10 of that, are you going to need times 10 in terms of resources, or are there opportunities where you can benefit from your increased scale, whereby you don't need to increase as much? So those different levers would guide you. Obviously, it starts with the top line, and then you can then work your way down to say, okay, what are the resources required? For some businesses, you might need laborers. So maybe for every carton of care product you manufacture, you need people to work X number of hours. So if you're trying to increase your volume, does that mean you're going to be hiring more? Or are you going to just switch production process to now start using? You can't hear me?
She can't hear you.
Mistura, did you catch
That
anything I've been
she
saying?
can't hear.
Who can hear? Mistura can hear, everybody can hear.
Yes, Mistura can hear. I can hear you, but I think Mistura cannot hear you. I
She's the only one, right? So
think so. Let me just try and see.
I believe it's not, because mine was just going on and off, so I couldn't
you couldn't
put together what you were saying.
Oh, really? So is it my network or is it you people's network?
I don't know. Probably
Network.
probably is my network actually.
Okay, I think Read One is typing. Read One, could you hear me? Read One.
Okay, I think she's.
Okay, I think it was her network. She's back.
Hi, Mistura. Can you hear? Hanif, do you want to say something? Maybe let's hear it from here.
Mistura, can you hear me now? Aha.
Yes,
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, so I'll just quickly go over my response to your question. So your question was around how do you go about like making like forecast, right? And I was saying that usually for existing businesses, the starting point is usually like, what have you done in the past? Because that gives you a sense of where you are today and your capabilities and whatnot. It's not reflective of what your potential can be, because sometimes you might be operating, but you're not, operating at your full capacity or your full potential. So again, it's a data point that is important just to leverage as a baseline. But ultimately, what you want to be doing is understanding, what your goals are. And that's why usually you want to start with the goal. If your goal is to do 1 million units, then the next question is, what do I need to do to be able to achieve that? If you are in a manufacturing business where you produce care product. Then the next question is the capacity of your current equipment and machinery. How many can you do in a month? If what you have can do 100 in a month, then your 1 million target might make sense, because if you do 100 in 12 months, then you can do 1.2 million, right? But if you check and you say that you want to do 1 million, but your capacity can only do 10 per month, then that means the first thing is you need to buy capex to increase your capacity. So starting with the goal and then cascading down is the way to think about it. And most times your level of operations, which is like your sales, will determine, for example, for a service business, you might be doing contracts, and then maybe you need, for a business like Abdul Gafar, for example, you might need an engineer per contract. So the next thing is, how many contracts can one engineer do in a month? And if you are trying to do 100 contracts in a year, and you divide that year by 12, how many engineers will you need to be able to achieve that target? So that's the way you might just think about it. But the important thing is thinking about what are the drivers of your revenue, what are the drivers of your cost, and how do those different drivers behave. For revenue, you might then say, okay, I have products, I have services. So for each product, you're thinking about what's the volume that you want to do and what's the average price. And then based on volume and price, you can get your revenue. Then for cost as well, if you're going to need raw materials, for every 1 unit that you produce, how much raw material do you need? And then you estimate that. So there are simpler ways to think about it when you have historical data. And I can simply just say my total revenue last year was 1 million. My total cost of sales was 500. So that means my cost is about 50% of my sales. So if I'm trying to forecast simply, I can say if I'm going to do 100 million and I have 50% cost margin, then that means my cost, I will need to spend about 50 million on cost. And then you can then cascade down. If you're going to need X number of people, how much salary are you paying per person? And then you can break it down. So a lot of it has to do with assumptions, right? But the more historical data you have, the more you can justify your assumptions. And then the better you understand your business with experience, the better you can also come up with reasonable assumptions. And then again, it's just to also drive you and guide you. Once you have that goal, and then you're now thinking about the action plan, like Sakina has mentioned, then you can easily then see how you want to achieve it. And then you can cascade that into quarterly, weekly, and even daily goals. And then, just drive the execution of that. So I hope that answers your question, Mr.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
All right, sure.
Okay, dogs. So I mean, if you do go through and you have any questions, we can always, you can just shoot us an email or something, and we'll try and respond as soon as we can. Yeah, but that's that for the financial projections. Thank you for asking that question. So, Abdurrafi, just share. So we're just sharing, how the workshop was for them. Of course, we'll send the replay, so hopefully you can catch it, Mr. But you can also still just share, the aspect that you were around. How was it? Was it useful? How was the training? How did we do? Was it useful for you? And do you have any feedback for us for the next, for like future purposes and internal purposes as well? So we really appreciate that. So Abdurrafi, Mr.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I've been trying to speak apparently, so I had to log out of my laptop and log in through my phone for me to be able to speak. So I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so it's been a very, very long but actually beneficial day. I learned a lot. I mean, building a business in Nigeria is for those who know who is not a small task, but having a structured manner in which you can achieve that is good. It's a very key thing. So irrespective of whether you're building this business or that business, I think the structure pretty much is the same. So for me, it's been a very eye-opening experience, and the learnings I'll take beyond just one business to the other businesses I hope to start. So I want to thank the team at Leonine for this opportunity, and look forward to a greater 2022. Thank you. Hello? Hello?
All right. Thanks,
Thank you very
Abdurrahman.
much
Okay,
for
I was
being
wanting a second answer.
here. Sorry, I was there. Thank you so much for the feedback. Mr. Ra, do you have anything for us before we call it a day? Mr. Ra, do you have any feedback? I'm not sure. Okay. All right. So I think we can call it a day. I would, like I said, I would share a short feedback form where you could just, tell us your thoughts around everything. Yeah, so thank you very much for joining this workshop. We had fun. It was a pleasure to host you guys and share freely. And I really really appreciate the interactions and people actually having light bulb moments about, okay, this is a business I want to pivot in, and people possibly looking at partnerships, so which is exciting. And we do wish you all the best in 2022. We are just about to go into our own strategy session as well. So do wish us all the best as well. So we're just looking forward to seeing you guys thrive in 2022, hopefully. And I mean, if you need any resources or you need anything about like your finances, financial advisory, we're here for you. And always feel free to also refer us to your network. We do good work, trust me. So yeah, so thank you so much for joining. I think Miss Sarah is joining. She's typing something.
I wanted to ask if I could give my feedback now. My network
Yes,
had a glitch again.
yes, please. Yes, please.
So I want to say a very big thank you. Like you guys really tried, like since morning, but want to give up their Saturday again and dish out so much knowledge. I really, really appreciate. I wish I was here for more, but the ones I was here for, I really enjoyed it. The fact that you made us go over our vision, mission, and everything. Yes, I had some before, but thinking about it again really like gave me more insight. Like, okay, what exactly do you want to do, basically? So it was really really nice, and I went over my 2021 goals
Yeah.
to see, okay, how far did I go? What is next? What is the next step for me? So yeah, thank you so much. And also the financial projections thing. I've always been wondering how people do it. Like, but the way I think Habib was able to break it down, it made sense.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for your
Thanks.
feedback, Sarah. Thank you so much. So like I said, if you go through the financial projections and you have questions, please let us know. We'll try our best to, answer it. So thank you so much for the feedback. Yeah, so thank you, Gafar. Thank you, Habib, Olayinka, Hanif, Ridwan, Mohammed that has been on hold. I don't know if he's in the call or not, but thank you all so much for tuning in. Really appreciate you. And yeah, we wish you all the best in 2022. And hopefully speak soon or see you around, any of our offerings or our socials. Do keep in touch with us. So thank you very much and have a great evening, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye.